Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. I'm Catherine Nance, Chief of Reno Police Department. Thank you to the media for allowing us to talk about the illegal street racings and sideshows that are occurring in our communities and in Northern Nevada. I just want to start with, this is not a city of Reno problem, nor is it a city of Sparks problem. It's not even really a Washoe County problem. It's an entire regional problem that we need to address. The illegal street racing and the sideshows have taken over parts of our community, causing stress for our residents and causing the illegal activities to continue to perform. So that's why today we're here as a region. We're coming together to talk about the zero tolerance approach that we're going to take for this type of illegal behavior. You're not only going to hear from me today, you're also going to hear from Sparks Police Deputy Chief, or Assistant Chief, and I think I just messed that up. Deputy Chief, thank you. Clint Bellamy, Washoe County Chief Deputy Corey Solferino, Reno City Attorney Carl Hall, and Washoe County District Attorney Chris Hicks. So together we're here to talk about the unified front that we're going to have moving forward with sideshow activity. I also want to thank the elected officials who are supporting us in our endeavors, to include Councilmember Dewar, who is present with us today. This morning, we're not only going to talk about why this is an imminent threat to public safety, but what tools are in place to catch the illegal activities, the racers and the sideshow spectators and participants, and the laws and ordinances that we can use to prosecute them. I'm going to start by showing you a PowerPoint just so that we're all on the same page about what we're actually talking about here. And this PowerPoint is going to demonstrate the dangers of the activity as well as the aftermath that these incidents create. That's what we can provide the full video for you if you would like, but that's an excerpt of it. If you would like to use that for anything, we can provide that to you. But then looking at what this actually looks like in the aftermath, you can see the vandalisms that occur, the dangers to the parking lots that happen, the dangers to the people both participating and spectating. And this is graffiti, this is an excessive amount of debris and trash that is shown throughout the parking lots after, and you can see that depicted also in this slideshow. And at this point in time, I will turn it over to Washoe County Chief Deputy Corey Solferino. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Nance. Thank you, everybody. Good morning for being here today. On behalf of Sheriff Balaam, who apologizes, he got called to Carson City to testify on important legislation regarding fentanyl in our state. Otherwise, he would be here today. So on his behalf, representing the men and women of the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, you have me, Corey Solferino. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today was our Raven platform, our Regional Aviation Enforcement Helicopter Division. So our pilots and our tactical flight officers offer unique technology that we can use to combat illegal street racing and sideshows. What it does is it allows that offensive coordinator in the sky, that bird's eye view, so we can call down and provide critical information to our officers and units that are on the ground, so we can coordinate a coordinated response and prevent unnecessary property damage, potential pursuits, liability, property damage. We also have the ability through our Raven platform to provide a video downlink. What that does is it shows command officials, they're allowed to watch the event as it's going down. Tactical officers can coordinate that response and make sure that these resolutions are brought to resolution safely and efficiently. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is the sharing of regional intelligence and information. Chief Nance hit the nail right on the head. This is not a city of Reno problem, a city of Sparks problem, or a Washoe County problem. It's actually a nationwide and Nevada issue. A lot of these people that are out there partaking in these types of events do not know jurisdictional boundaries. So the only way that we can combat a lot of the crimes that we're doing are through our regional teams initiatives. And I want to commend Chief Nance, Chief Crawforth, who's not here today, and Sheriff Balaam for bringing that regional team approach to a lot of the crimes that are affecting our area. I want to thank our City Council and our County Commission for addressing the ordinances and giving us the legal teeth to be able to hold these people accountable and just tell the public that these are dangerous, that we are not going to have any tolerance for this type of behavior, because property damage and preservation of life are our top priorities in Washoe County, cities of Reno and Sparks. On behalf of Sheriff Balaam, thank you for being here today, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief Deputy Bellamy with the Sparks Police Department.
Good morning. My name is Deputy Chief Clint Bellamy with the Sparks Police Department. As previously stated, the Sparks Police Department does stand with our regional partners here in Washoe County to combat this problem, illegal street racing. As Chief Deputy Solferino stated, previously we would individually enforce these types of crimes, and the effect that it had was Sparks would have an enforcement initiative and it would chase these people into Reno. Reno would do the same thing and it would move them to Washoe County. But with this collective approach, we hope to put it out of commission. Unfortunately, the street racing crime tends to draw many spectators who encourage this dangerous behavior. As you saw in the video, you saw how close these vehicles were getting to the people in the video, most of which are teenagers. On April 24th, the Sparks City Council approved City Ordinance 9.32 of the Sparks Municipal Code. This new ordinance prohibits spectators at street races, sideshows, and any other speed exhibitions. Any person found in violation of this new ordinance will be guilty of a misdemeanor. At this point, I would like to introduce Reno City Attorney Carl Hall.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. My name is Carl Hall, Reno City Attorney, and you may have heard that the Reno City Council moved our spectating ordinance from Title VI to Title VIII. And the reason we did that is because of the implementation of AB 116, which made most traffic offenses civil citations. And so we wanted to make sure that the officers had the ability to prosecute these spectators who encourage this type of activity, and we did that last week. So hopefully moving the spectator ordinance into Title VIII will allow the officers to prosecute these misdemeanors and preserve public safety. Thank you. I'll turn it over to District Attorney Chris Hicks.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. As most of you know, when a felony crime happens in our community or a misdemeanor crime happens in Washoe County, those cases all come to the district attorney's office. And so really the next step of the criminal justice system, we have the enforcement that you've heard about, the arrests that you've heard about, then come to the district attorney's office. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but first what I wanted to do was to just tell you about a couple cases we have in our office that are a product of sideshows that happened in this community back in October of 2022. These cases really highlight the risks of being a spectator at these events and also the consequences of being a participant. One of these cases was a sideshow that took place in the intersection of Lakeside and McCarran Boulevard in Reno. The driver was spinning around, much like you saw in the videos, and clipped a spectator, a young lady in our community. She suffered major injuries, a broken clavicle, brain bleed. So right there, it shows the dangers that everybody should be aware of and everybody should talk to their kids about of even being a spectator at those events. Secondly, the individual who was driving that car is facing a felony for reckless driving causing substantial bodily harm, and that is an ongoing prosecution in my office, but obviously the consequences of that are great. That is a Category B felony. Another case I quickly touch on was that same time frame in October of 2022, where a sideshow event took place in the parking lot of a Target in South Reno. Again, the driver tried to run from the police, tried to evade the police when they showed up. He crashed into another car, injuring the occupant of that vehicle, causing lacerations to her face. He then continued to evade and was ultimately apprehended. That individual, again, to highlight the consequences of these activities, was arrested for reckless driving and was arrested for resisting a public officer. He is convicted. He is now facing 180 days in jail unless he completes some very strict conditions that the judge put in place to include community service, counseling, fines, fees, and other items. So I throw that out there for obviously to show the risks and the consequences, but to highlight that we, as a region, will step up these efforts, these enforcement efforts, if this continues in our community. And this is a great showing to highlight that very fact. One of the ways that we're facilitating that in Washoe County, Deputy Chief Bellamy talked about it, that Sparks recently adopted an ordinance. Recently, Washoe County Board of County Commissioners also received an ordinance that was submitted by my office that is a comprehensive enforcement ordinance that will make it a crime to be a spectator, to be a participant, to be an organizer, promoter, facilitator, aider, and abettor of any sideshow, street race, or other speed exhibition. So we are now getting more tools to prosecute these individuals. Under that ordinance, all of those individuals, whether you're a spectator, whether you're a participant, whether you're an organizer, you could face up to 180 days in jail, a $1,000 fine. The Washoe County Board of County Commissioners has already had the first read of that ordinance. It will be up for adoption in the near future and then become law soon after that if it is adopted. And the goal of that ordinance, as is all of this, is to deter the participants and to dampen crowd participation. The last thing I want to talk about is another very important enforcement tool, and I think it's an important message to put out to the community. And that is in felony cases that are a product of these sideshow exhibitions, we have the ability to seek forfeiture, to seize the vehicles used in those crimes and to forfeit those vehicles. Which is an incredible tool, because oftentimes in these kind of cases, the vehicles are what are most important to these participants. The ordinance adopted by the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners allows us to actually I forgot the word I'm trying to use here, to seize those vehicles as well. So now, under that ordinance, if you are participating in those kind of events, law enforcement can actually seize that vehicle. We can start proceedings to confiscate it, and the owner of that vehicle, if they wish to get that vehicle back, will have to pay the fees that are associated with towing the vehicle, storing the vehicle, and if they don't follow through with the process to get their vehicle back, ultimately, Washoe County can seek legal proceedings to get established title to that vehicle. So that is another enforcement tool that we intend on implementing if the need becomes apparent and if these events continue to occur in our community. Thank you.
I'd like to close it out by reminding everybody how quickly our region is growing, and this unified response shows the people in our community and those people that travel here to participate in these acts that Northern Nevada is not a place for illegal street racing and is not a place for sideshow activity. We understand how dangerous these events are, the impact that they have on our community, and how beneficial it is to have laws and ordinances in place that allow us to do the enforcement and fully prosecute as the best of our abilities when people choose to engage in these acts. I will say that the biggest part of this comes from the education. If we can stop people from doing this in the first place, our resources can do other things. However, we know that's not always the case and it's not always going to happen. But we want to put it out there to the public that these acts are illegal. They create issues in our community when we have them, and that we are prepared to stand together and to enforce every law applicable when these activities do happen. And at this point in time, I'd like to open it up for any questions that you may have, and then we will all also be available for one-on-one interviews if that's desired. So any of us can answer any questions that you might have. And if there is none, we don't have to answer any. Okay.
What kind of increases have we seen in the need for enforcement of illegal street racing over the last decade?
The illegal street racing has changed over the last decade and is really involved into the sideshow activity that it was mentioned that is not just happening here, it's happening in California and it's happening nationwide. It's very important also to recognize that almost all states and communities have ordinances and laws in place to prevent these acts. So we will continue to develop and move forward with this prevention aspect as long as these activities are going to continue. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And then again, we'll be available for any one-on-ones that were needed.